Welcome to Monk's Temple. Settle in. Let the day's armor soften. Perhaps you're listening in the quiet hours, when the world's noise fades and your own thoughts grow loud. Or maybe in the middle of a crowded day, seeking a pocket of stillness. Wherever you are, just for now, let your awareness rest here. On the sound of my voice. On the rise and fall of your next breath. There's a feeling that's been your silent companion. It's not sharp pain, but a dull weight. It's the sense that your life is playing in a minor key while everyone else seems to be in a major one. You look at your path and see undergrowth, fog, a winding trail that seems to lead in circles. You see others on clear, sunlit roads, moving with purpose. And a whisper, relentless as a heartbeat, says, "You are off track. You are wasting time. You are being left behind." I want to speak to that whisper. Not to argue with it, but to understand its language. In the ancient wisdom of Buddhism, this discomfort is not a sign of a broken life. It is a sign of a life that is outgrowing. Imagine a tree. Its roots, once perfectly suited to a small pot, now press against the ceramic walls. The pot isn't wrong. The tree isn't wrong. But a vital conflict has begun, the imperative to grow against the shape of the old container. Your discomfort is the feeling of those roots pressing. It is the quiet, internal signal that a larger vessel is needed. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I found myself responsible for an old, neglected walled garden. The previous keeper had loved roses, and only roses. They were everywhere, climbing, bush, tea roses, a glorious, thorny monopoly. But the garden felt tense. Unbalanced. My first instinct was to become a better rose gardener. To prune more expertly, feed more diligently. But the more I tried to force the garden to be the perfect rose garden of its past, the more it seemed to resist. Plants grew spindly. Blight appeared. I felt like a failure. One afternoon, exhausted, I simply sat on a stone bench and stopped trying to fix it. I just looked. And in that stillness, I saw it. Pushing through the gravel path, a cluster of lavender. Peeking from under a rose bush, the brave green of a foxglove. In the shaded corner, ferns uncurling. The garden wasn't dying. It was diversifying. It was trying to become a different, wilder, more resilient ecosystem. My suffering wasn't from the garden's state, but from my attachment to its past identity as a rose garden. The moment I saw the lavender, the entire struggle shifted. The question was no longer, how do I save the roses, but what is this garden becoming, and how can I help? Your life is that garden. The roses are the old identities, the old goals, the old ways of being that once defined you. They are struggling not because you failed them, but because the soil of your soul is calling for a greater biodiversity of being. The discomfort is the tension between the memory of the monoculture and the emerging, confusing, beautiful wilderness. Buddhism teaches us that suffering, dukkha, arises not from change itself, but from our craving, tanha, for things to remain as they were, or to be other than they are. You are craving the orderly rose garden while life is patiently, insistently planting lavender. If this idea, of being a gardener in your own wilding life, resonates with you, please consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's like saving a seat in this quiet corner of the garden, a place you can return to whenever you need to remember what's truly growing. Now, let's walk this wilding path together. Let's understand the landscape of this transition. One of the deepest reasons this phase feels so disorienting is because the internal compass you've relied on has lost its magnetic north. We all carry these compasses. They are built from unconscious beliefs: if I work hard, I will be secure. If I am kind, I will be loved. If I follow the rules, the path will be clear. These are the silent contracts we make with the universe. And for a long time, they seem to work. The needle points, we follow, and we feel a sense of direction. But then, a season comes. You work hard, and insecurity finds you anyway. You are kind, and you feel loneliness. You follow the rules, and the path vanishes into mist. The needle of your compass spins wildly. This is often the first, profound shock of the uncomfortable phase. Buddhism would say the compass wasn't broken, it was always an illusion. It was calibrated to a simplistic map of a complex, living world. Reality is not obligated to honor your personal contract. The Buddha's radical teaching is that peace is found not in getting the world to sign your contract, but in seeing that the contract itself, the craving for a predictable, quid pro quo universe, is the source of your anguish. Think of it like learning to sail. You start on a calm, small lake. You learn a simple rule: pull the sail this way, and the boat goes that way. It's reliable. You feel competent. Then, you take your boat onto the ocean. You pull the sail the same way, but a crosscurrent grabs the hull, a wind shear catches the sail, and you veer wildly off course. The ocean isn't being unfair. It is being more fully itself. Your suffering comes from yelling at the ocean, but on the lake, this worked. The Buddhist path is about learning the true, vast, and dynamic principles of the ocean, of tides, of deep currents, of changing winds, and adjusting your seamanship accordingly. It's about trading the fragile confidence of the lake for the resilient wisdom of the sea. Your spinning compass is your first, frightening introduction to the ocean scale. I remember a woodcarver who only knew how to work with pine, soft, forgiving, straight-grained. He made beautiful, smooth things. Then, he was given a block of ancient, knotted olive wood. He attacked it with his pine techniques. His tools dulled. The wood splintered. He grew furious with the block, calling it flawed, difficult, uncooperative. He nearly gave up. In a moment of despair, he put his tools down and just ran his hands over the gnarly surface for a long time. He felt the hard whirls of the knots, the undulating flow of the grain around old wounds. A realization dawned: he wasn't meant to make the olive wood into a pine object. He had to listen to what the olive wood wanted to be. He changed his tools, his pressure, his very vision. The resulting bowl was nothing like his pine work. It was heavier, darker, with the knots incorporated into the design like jewels. It was infinitely more interesting. His struggle wasn't with the wood, but with his attachment to his pine methodology. You are that carver. The comfortable, pine phase of your life, where techniques yielded predictable results, is over. Now you are working with the olive wood of a more complex reality. Knotted with loss, grained with unexpected twists, hardened by experience. Your discomfort is the sound of your old tools straining. Buddhism doesn't tell you to force the olive wood to become pine. It invites you to put down the dull tools of old expectations, to feel the unique grain of your present moment, and to ask, with humble curiosity, what wants to be shaped here. This leads us to a subtle but powerful engine of your pain, the tyranny of the timeline. The mind is a relentless clockmaker. It doesn't just note the time, it builds elaborate schedules for your life. By this age, I should be here. By this date, I should have achieved that. When your inner garden is wilding or your olive wood is resisting, you fall behind schedule. The mind then interprets this not as a natural seasonal delay, but as a personal failing. It conflates the depth of your process with the distance on a fictional map. Buddhism masterfully deconstructs this. The Buddha taught that one of the primary causes of suffering is our tendency to live in the ghost time, the imagined future of resolution or the remembered past of stability. We flee the raw, real, alive present moment, which is the only place life actually happens. Your anxiety is the tax you pay for living in the ghost time. You are haunted by the future self who has it all figured out, and you feel like a ghost in your own present life. Imagine you are baking bread. The recipe says, let the dough rise for 1 hour. But your kitchen is cold. An hour passes, and the dough is still a dense lump. You could spend that second hour in agony, staring at the clock, berating the dough, feeling like a failed baker. Or, you could accept the reality of the cold kitchen. You could cover the dough, put it in a warmer spot, and tend to something else, understanding that the rise will take as long as it takes. The bread doesn't care about the clock. It cares about the conditions. Your life is that dough. You are in a cold kitchen phase, a time where growth is internal, slow, invisible. The suffering comes from screaming at the dough for not following the schedule in the book, instead of tending wisely to the actual conditions of your heart. A musician friend once practiced a single, complex sonata for 2 years. For the first 18 months, it was a battle. He focused on the final recording, the performance, the applause. Each practice session was a grim effort to get it over with. His playing was technically correct but sterile, filled with tension. Then, his teacher said, "Stop trying to play the sonata. Just be in the room with the music today. Listen to the resonance of this single chord. Feel the space between these 2 notes." He let go of the timeline to mastery. He began to practice not to reach the end, but to explore the landscape of the piece each day. The music transformed. It became alive, nuanced, heartfelt. The final performance was almost an afterthought, the natural blooming of 2 years of deep, present-moment intimacy with the work. The timeline had been a prison. Presence was the key. Your uncomfortable phase is that sonata. You are trying to perform your way out of it, to reach the finale. Buddhism invites you to a different practice, to be intimately, patiently present with the very notes of your discomfort. To listen to the resonance of your own uncertainty. To feel the spaces between your hopes. In this attentive, timeless space, the real music of transformation is composed. What we are exploring here is the gentle unraveling of a self that was built for a different season. This is profound work. It is the work of awakening. And it requires a special kind of courage, not the courage to fight, but the courage to feel. To stay present in the garden as it wilds, with the olive wood as it reveals its grain, with the dough as it rises in its own time. This is not a passive surrender. It is the most active engagement possible, a full, conscious participation in your own becoming. Would you like to continue exploring this landscape of gentle awakening? Let's continue. If you're ready, bring your awareness back to this space. To your breath. to the quiet hum of your own aliveness. We've spoken of the wilding garden, the olive wood, the dough rising in its own time. These are metaphors for a process that can feel deeply lonely. It's a solitude that amplifies the discomfort. You look around and see people who seem to have their maps, their compasses, their recipes all in perfect order. Their gardens are neatly pruned, their wood is smooth, their bread is already golden and fragrant. And here you are, in the beautiful, terrifying wilderness of not knowing. This comparison, this looking sideways, is like pouring salt into the soil of your own soul. It stings, and it hinders growth. Buddhism identifies this habit, measuring our inner worth by external benchmarks, as a primary source of poison. It's called conceit in the ancient texts, but not in a boastful way. It's the conceit of measurement itself. I am better than, worse than, equal to. The mind, desperate for a fixed point in the swirling uncertainty, latches onto other people's visible milestones. It's a false anchor. You are comparing the meticulously edited highlight reel of someone else's life to the raw, unscripted, behind-the-scenes footage of your own. You are comparing their harvest to your plowing. Their summit to your climb through the cloud layer, where no view is possible. The Buddha taught that freedom begins when we cease to look for ourselves in the eyes of others. Your value, your progress, your rightness of path cannot be found in any external mirror. It is an internal calibration. Think of a lighthouse. Its sole purpose is to emit a steady beam from its own core, based on its own fixed position. It does not look at other lighthouses and think, my beam isn't as bright, or, their light reaches farther. It simply does its job, shines from where it stands. Your discomfort is often the pain of turning your lighthouse inward, trying to use its light to illuminate and judge the other lighthouses on the coast, leaving your own shores in darkness. I recall a time I visited a vast, old-growth forest. I was with a naturalist who pointed to two trees right next to each other. One was a towering Douglas fir, straight as a spear, reaching for the sun. The other was a sprawling, ancient cedar, its trunk twisted and broad, growing more out than up. Which one is more successful? He asked. I gestured to the tall fir. He smiled. The fir grows fast to reach the light. The cedar grows slow, its strategy is chemical. It saturates its wood with oils that make it resistant to rot, to insects. That fir will be majestic for a few hundred years. This cedar will be here for 1,000. They are not in competition. They are having a conversation with the same patch of earth, in different languages. I stood there, humbled. My entire way of judging success, height, speed, straightness, was laughably limited. My comparison was based on the fir's language, blind to the cedar's profound, slow wisdom. Your phase of discomfort might be your cedar phase. It looks, from the outside, like you are not growing in the expected, vertical way. But inside, you might be saturating your very being with a resilience, a depth, a wisdom that cannot be measured in height. Comparing your cedar heart to someone else's fir height achievement is a tragic misunderstanding of your own nature. Buddhism asks you to stop speaking the language of comparison and to listen, deeply, to the unique conversation your soul is having with the earth of your life. This habit of comparison is closely tied to a deep, often unexamined fear, the fear of stillness. In our world, movement is synonymous with purpose. Busyness is worn as a badge of worth. So when life forces a natural slowdown, when the internal work requires you to be still, the mind rebels with terror. If I am not moving, I am nothing. If I am not producing, I have no value. This stillness feels like a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. So we rush to fill it with noise, with plans, with worry, anything to create the sensation of motion. But in the view of Buddhist practice, stillness is not emptiness. It is the space where the sediment of your life settles, so you can finally see clearly what the waters contain. Constant motion is often just a clever form of avoidance. As long as you are running, you don't have to feel what you're running from. The discomfort of this phase is, in part, the discomfort of finally stopping. When the external momentum ceases, the internal noise becomes deafening. All the doubts, fears, and unresolved questions you've been outrunning catch up to you. It feels like being besieged, but it's actually a moment of profound opportunity. Everything that has been secretly governing your life is now presenting itself for review. Imagine a snow globe, perpetually shaken. The water is white, chaotic, opaque. You can't see the delicate scene inside. This phase of your life is the act of setting the snow globe down on a steady surface. At first, the blizzard is terrifying, all that churned up debris swirling. But if you can resist the urge to shake it again out of nervous habit, the flakes begin to settle. Slowly, patiently, the water clears. And there, revealed, is the miniature world you've been carrying all along. The stillness isn't the enemy, it's the precondition for clarity. Your restless mind is the hand that keeps shaking the globe. Buddhism is the gentle voice saying, put it down. Let it settle. See what is actually there. I learned this not from philosophy, but from fixing an old, clogged fountain. The pump was choked with algae and leaves. The water was murky, stagnant. My first impulse was action. Dismantle, scrub, force water through. I made a bigger mess. A gardener saw me and said, turn it off. Let it sit. All the dirt will fall to the bottom. Then you can scoop out the clean water from the top, and see the problem clearly. Reluctantly, I did. For a day, the fountain was silent, just a still, muddy pool. It looked dead. But by the next morning, the sediment had settled. The water was clear enough to see the exact shape of the clog. Cleaning it then was simple, almost graceful. My frantic action had been an extension of the problem, more churning. The transformative power was in the patient, counterintuitive stillness. Your life, right now, may feel like that murky, choked fountain. Your instinct is to thrash, to do something, to force the flow. Buddhism suggests the revolutionary act of turning off the pump. To be still. To allow the churned-up emotions, the tangled thoughts, the sediment of old stories, to settle. From that clarity, wise action becomes obvious. The stillness isn't wasting time. It is the most efficient way to diagnose the system. Beneath the fear of stillness lies an even more vulnerable layer, the disintegration of the performer. We all, to some degree, perform a self. We have a character we play for the world, and often, for ourselves, the competent one. The strong one. The one who has it together. This performance is a coping mechanism. It gets us through. But in this uncomfortable, honest phase, the script falls apart. The lines sound hollow. The costume feels like a disguise. You look in the mirror of your own heart and the performer is fading, and behind it, you're not sure what you see. This can feel like dying. It can feel like you are losing yourself. Here, Buddhism offers its most radical and comforting truth, anatta, non-self. It is not a nihilistic, you don't exist. It is a liberating, you are not the thing you thought you were. You are not the fixed, solid, permanent character. You are the awareness in which the character appears. You are the stage, not the actor. The performer is a collection of habits, conditioning, and stories, a temporary constellation. Its dissolution is frightening to the ego, which mistakes itself for the whole theater. But to the aware presence you truly are, it is simply a change of scenery. Think of the sky. Clouds form, dark storm clouds, fluffy white clouds, wisps of cirrus. They have shapes, stories, dramas. They seem solid. They can block the sun, bring rain, create spectacular sunsets. But are they the sky? No. The sky is the vast, open, aware space that holds them. The clouds are weather in the sky. Your thoughts, emotions, and even your sense of being a solid self are like those clouds. They are the weather of your being. Your discomfort is the storm weather. You've been identifying so completely with the storm cloud, with the role of the one in a storm, that you've forgotten the sky. Buddhism is the practice of remembering the sky. Of shifting your identity from the passing, turbulent weather to the timeless, peaceful space that witnesses it all. A friend, a potter, once described opening his kiln after a high-temperature firing. The glazes he had carefully painted on were gone, transformed. The colors were not on the surface, they had melted into the very clay, becoming part of the vessel's substance. The pot's identity was no longer clay with blue glaze. It was blue pot all the way through. Your uncomfortable phase is a spiritual kiln. It is a high-temperature firing. The superficial glazes of your social roles, your performative identities, your fragile self-images, are being burned away. It feels like destruction. But the potential is for your deepest qualities, your compassion, your resilience, your authentic wisdom, to fuse with your very being, to become not something you perform, but what you are, through and through. This is deep work. It is work that happens in the silent, unseen kiln of your own heart. It cannot be rushed. It requires the heat of discomfort and the courage to not cling to the old, unfired shape. You are not falling apart. You are being fired into a more durable, more authentic form. This journey from comparison to stillness, from performer to presence, is the heart of the path. It's challenging because it asks you to unlearn almost everything the world has taught you about where to look for safety and worth. But it is the only path that leads to a peace that doesn't depend on the weather. Would you like to go deeper, to see how this transformation unfolds in the dark, quiet places? Let's go deeper. Find your breath again, that anchor in the present moment. Let's explore what happens in the quiet, unseen workshop of the soul. We've talked about the false anchors of comparison and the fear of stillness. We've touched on the disintegration of the performer. This brings us to what feels like the core of the heaviness. The sense of being in a dark workshop, blindfolded, tasked with building something you cannot see, with tools you do not recognize. There is no blueprint, no foreman's voice, no progress report. Just the muffled sound of your own work in the dark. This, perhaps, is the essence of the uncomfortable phase. It is the apprenticeship in not knowing. Buddhism holds a special reverence for this not knowing. It is not ignorance. It is the fertile, humbled ground before certitude sprouts. The mind craves knowing like an addict craves a substance. It wants answers, maps, guarantees. It wants to conclude. But life, in its wisdom, often withdraws the answers so that you might develop a more intimate relationship with the questions. Your discomfort is the withdrawal symptom. You are detoxing from the addiction to premature certainty. Think of a master violin maker. He doesn't simply assemble parts from a kit. He spends days, weeks, just listening to the wood. He taps it, feels its density, observes the grain in different lights. He is in a dialogue with the potential instrument before a single cut is made. This period looks, to an outsider, like inactivity. No violin is being made. But to the luthier, this is the most critical phase. The quality of the final music is born in this silent, attentive listening. Your life has entered the luthier phase. The external construction of your life violin, the career, the relationships, the achievements, has paused. Now, you are in the silent workshop, listening to the grain of your own soul. It feels unproductive. It feels like you are doing nothing. But you are engaged in the most profound work, learning the unique song your particular grain is meant to sing. I witnessed this once in a remote village known for its weavers. They didn't use patterns or dyes from a store. An elder weaver took me to the fields where they grew plants, to the stream where they collected clay and minerals for color. She spent a morning just sitting by a sheep, not shearing it, just being with it. I am learning the quality of this year's wool, she said. The weather has been dry, so the fibers will be different. The green from the summer moss will be different from the spring moss. For her, the tapestry began long before the loom was threaded. It began in this patient, immersive relationship with the raw, living materials. The modern world would call this wasted time. In her tradition, it was the foundation of artistry. Your uncomfortable phase is your time in the field, by the stream. You are not weaving the visible tapestry of your life right now. You are relearning the quality of your own wool, the true colors of your own spirit. Without this phase, any tapestry you weave will be from synthetic materials, according to someone else's pattern. This necessary, not knowing, directly confronts our obsession with control. We believe, deep down, that if we are smart enough, careful enough, diligent enough, we can steer the ship of our life through calm seas to a predetermined port. This phase is the storm that shatters that illusion. The wheel spins freely. The charts are overboard. You are, as the old sailors said, in the hands of God. Or in Buddhist terms, at the mercy of pratitya samutpada, the intricate, endless web of cause and condition that is utterly beyond your personal management. The suffering comes not from the storm, but from your white-knuckled grip on a wheel that no longer connects to the rudder. Buddhism teaches the practice of upekkha, often translated as equanimity. It is not passive resignation. It is the active, courageous stance of a sailor who has tied himself to the mast, who has done all he can to secure the ship, and who now weathers the storm with a calm, clear mind, witnessing the awesome power of the ocean without adding the panic of a personal tantrum to the gale. It is the deep understanding that you are part of the ocean's movement, not its master. Your discomfort is the pain of your fingers being pried, one by one, from the illusion of control. A profound lesson in this came from a master kite flyer. I watched him for hours in a blustery square. His kite was a simple diamond, not the fancy stunt kites others flew. But it flew higher and steadier than any of them. He barely moved his hands. People with complicated reels ran back and forth, fighting the wind, their kites diving and crashing. I asked him his secret. He said, "They are trying to control the kite. I am having a conversation with the wind. I feel the tension in the string. A gust comes, I let a little string go. The pressure eases, I take a little in. I am not the kite's boss. I am the translator between the kite and the sky." He was the embodiment of equanimity. He had goals, to keep the kite aloft, but his method was one of sensitive, responsive relationship, not forceful control. You are learning to fly your life in a new wind. The old methods of sheer willpower, of gripping the reel and fighting, are causing crashes. Buddhism invites you to become a translator. To feel the tension in your string, your anxiety, your resistance, not as a problem to muscle through, but as information. The gust of a life change comes. Can you let a little string go? Can you release a little attachment, a little expectation? The lull of boredom comes. Can you take a little string in, engage a little more with the present moment? Your discomfort is the feeling of fighting the wind. Peace is found in the subtle, attentive dialogue with it. Within this storm, within this not knowing, a specific kind of grief often arises. It is not grief for a person, but for a version of yourself. The performer is gone. The certain map is ashes. The old, simple tools are broken. Even if that self was limiting, even if that map was wrong, it was familiar. Letting go of familiarity, even when it's painful, involves loss. Buddhism does not bypass this grief. It honors it as part of the sacred process of release. It's the grief of the caterpillar for its caterpillar life, even as it dissolves in the chrysalis. It doesn't know it's becoming a butterfly, it only knows its world is ending. Your grief is valid. It is the tender acknowledgement of how hard you tried to make the old way work. But Buddhism also offers a vision to hold alongside the grief, the vision of the second arrow. The Buddha said, "In life, we are often struck by an arrow. This is the first arrow, the pain, the loss, the change, the diagnosis, the disappointment. It hurts. But then, we shoot ourselves with a second, third, fourth arrow. These are the arrows of our reaction. This shouldn't be happening. Why me? This proves I'm a failure. It will always be this way." The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of human existence. The subsequent arrows are the optional suffering we create with our resistance, our storytelling, our refusal. Your uncomfortable phase includes the first arrow of transition. But so much of the exhausting, debilitating weight comes from the quiver of second arrows you are firing into your own heart every hour. The practice is to learn to feel the sting of the first arrow, the raw grief, the pure uncertainty, without reaching for the second. I think of a blacksmith teaching me to make a simple nail. He heated the iron until it glowed. "Now," he said, "you must hammer it on the anvil." I swung hard, but my blows were wild, glancing off, deforming the metal. Frustrated, I hit harder, making it worse. He took the hammer. "You are fighting the iron," he said. "Don't fight it. Work with its plasticity. Your job is not to defeat it, but to guide the heat that is already within it." His strikes were fewer, precise, rhythmic. They didn't oppose the metal, they collaborated with its molten state to suggest a new shape. My frantic hammering was the second arrow. His mindful guidance was the art of feeling the first arrow, the heat, the malleability, and responding with skill, not added violence. Your heart is in the fire, malleable. Your mind is the hammer. Are you using it to fight the shape of your experience, deforming yourself with stories of resistance? Or can you learn to work with the heat of this moment, to guide yourself with fewer, more precise, more compassionate blows toward a new form? The phase itself is the fire. Your reaction is the hammer. Buddhism teaches you how to hold the hammer with wisdom, not fear. This is the unseen curriculum. Learning the luthier's listening. Becoming the weaver in the field. Translating the wind. Feeling the first arrow. Holding the hammer with care. None of this appears on a resume. None of it earns applause. It is the root work. The winter work. The kiln fire. It is how a human soul is reforged from a creature of reaction into a being of wise response. This path is not about reaching a destination where discomfort ends. It is about changing your relationship with discomfort itself, so that it becomes not your jailer, but one of your most profound teachers. Shall we continue to explore how this teaching unfolds, and how to truly meet this teacher? Let's move forward, into the heart of the meeting. Bring your attention to the sensation of listening. To the space between my words. To the quiet hum of your own presence. We've navigated the landscapes of comparison, stillness, and not knowing. We've felt the grief of the dissolving self and the weight of the second arrow. Now, we arrive at the pivotal crossroad, the moment of meeting. This is where theory becomes practice. Where understanding becomes embodiment. Your entire uncomfortable phase has been leading you, gently or forcefully, to this point, the point where you stop running from what is, and you turn to face it. Buddhism's core practice is mindfulness, sati, the aware, non-judgmental observation of present moment experience. It sounds simple. Deceptively so. It is not about achieving a blissful state. It is about developing the courage to be a perfect witness to your own life, exactly as it is. Even, especially, when it is uncomfortable. This phase is your masterclass in mindfulness. Every twinge of anxiety, every wave of frustration, every hollow ache of, what's the point? Is not a distraction from the practice. It is the practice. It is the very material you are learning to observe. Imagine you are in a small boat on a choppy lake. The boat is your sense of self. The choppy water is your churning mind, your worries, your regrets, your plans. Your instinct is to grab the oars and row furiously for shore, to escape the discomfort of the rocking. But the shore is illusion, it's the fantasy of a past or future peace. Buddhism suggests something radical. Put the oars down. Sit in the center of the boat. Feel the rock and sway. Notice the patterns of the waves. Observe the panic that arises, the thoughts that say, this is dangerous. Observe them too. Don't jump into the water. Don't fight the waves. Just be the one sitting, feeling, watching. A miraculous thing happens. When you stop fighting the motion, you find your balance within the motion. The boat still rocks, but you are no longer at war with it. You have met the waves. And in that meeting, you are no longer a victim of the lake, you are an inhabitant of it. Your life is that boat. The oars are all your strategies of avoidance, overworking, overthinking, numbing, people-pleasing, desperate planning. Putting them down is the act of surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to reality. It is saying, okay. This is the water I am in. These are the waves I am feeling. Let me be here with it, fully. This is the essence of acceptance. And from this stable, present center, clarity emerges. You might see a calmer route, or realize you don't need to reach a shore at all, that peace was always available in the skillful navigation of the present waters. I learned this from watching a heron fish. It would stand motionless for what seemed like forever in the shallows, one leg lifted, utterly still. From the outside, it looked like it was doing nothing, wasting time. But it was in a state of profound, poised attention. It was being the stillness, merged with the environment, feeling the subtle vibrations in the water through its legs. When a fish finally swam by, the strike was not a frantic lunge. It was a swift, graceful, almost inevitable extension of its stillness. The heron didn't chase the fish. It created the conditions of perfect, patient awareness, and the right action arose from that. Your phase of discomfort is asking you to learn the heron's stance. To stop chasing the fish of resolution, clarity, or success. To become still, present, and exquisitely attuned to the vibrations of your own life. From that deep attention, your own strike, the right move, the wise decision, the intuitive step, will arise naturally, without frantic effort. This practice of meeting what is dissolves a major source of your pain, the story. The mind is a master storyteller. It takes the raw data of your experience. The feeling of stagnation, the missed opportunity, the quiet anxiety, and weaves an epic narrative around it. This is because I'm not good enough. This means I'll never succeed. This is my punishment for that mistake. The story feels real, absolute, and heavy. But it is just a story. An interpretation. Buddhism teaches you to separate the sensation from the screenplay. The tightness in your chest is a sensation. The thought, this tightness means I am failing at life, is the story. The story is the second arrow. The sensation is the first. Try it now. Identify a low-level discomfort you're feeling. Maybe it's a restlessness in your limbs. A slight anxiety in your stomach. Just locate it. Now, see if you can observe the pure physical sensation without the label. Is it a fluttering? A dull pressure? A buzzing? Just feel its texture, its location, its intensity. Now, notice the mind's immediate urge to explain it, to build a story on top of it. This is because I didn't get enough done today. This means I'm anxious about tomorrow. See that urge as just another event in the mind. Don't follow the story. Gently return to the raw sensation. This simple act is a revolution. It is you, reclaiming your direct experience from the dictatorship of interpretation. A potter once showed me his failure shelf. It was filled with pots that cracked in the kiln, glaze experiments that went wrong, shapes that collapsed. Most people see a shelf of junk, he said. I see my greatest teachers. This one taught me about clay density. This one taught me about thermal shock. This collapsed bowl taught me more about structural integrity than 100 successful ones. He didn't tell himself a story that these pots proved he was a bad potter. He met them as they were, vessels of pure information. Your uncomfortable feelings, your failed days, your moments of confusion, these are pots on your failure shelf. They are not evidence of a broken life. They are your most direct teachers, offering raw, unvarnished lessons about the materials and forces you are working with. Meet them with the curiosity of the potter, not the judgment of the critic. This leads to a subtle but profound shift, from being at the effect of your life to being in relationship with it. When you are at the effect, you are a leaf in the stream, tossed and turned, blaming the current. When you are in relationship, you are a swimmer in the stream. You feel the current's power, you respect it, but you can also adjust your stroke, choose your angle, sometimes even swim across it. The discomfort is the current. Mindfulness is the skill of swimming. It doesn't stop the flow, but it gives you agency within it. I remember being caught in a strong riptide as a young swimmer. My first instinct was to fight it, to swim directly back to shore with all my strength. I exhausted myself and made no progress. Just as panic was setting in, I remembered the lesson: don't fight the riptide. Swim parallel to the shore, across its pull. It felt counterintuitive. I was swimming away from my goal of the beach. But within a minute, I felt the grip of the current lesson. Then, I could easily swim back in. My uncomfortable phase was that riptide. My exhausting efforts to get back to normal, to force a solution, were like swimming directly against it. The Buddhist path was the instruction to swim parallel, to practice acceptance, to be present, to do the inner work that felt like moving sideways, not forward. Only by doing that could I escape the exhausting, futile struggle and find my way to a new, more solid ground. This, swimming parallel, is the practice of building your inner resources independent of external conditions. We often outsource our peace. We think, I'll be happy when I get that job, when I find that partner, when I solve this problem. This is like building your house on the beach and hoping the ocean never storms. Buddhism asks you to build your house on the bedrock of your own aware presence, far enough back that the storms of circumstance can rage without destroying your foundation. Your phase of discomfort is the storm that reveals your house was on the sand. It's not punishing you. It's showing you, with fierce compassion, where you need to rebuild. So, how do you meet this? You meet it by becoming a heron in the shallows of your own experience. You meet it by observing sensations without stories. You meet it by studying your failure shelf with curiosity. You meet it by swimming parallel to the riptide of resistance. You meet it by beginning, brick by mindful brick, to build your home on the bedrock of the present moment. This is not a one-time event. It is a moment-to-moment returning. A gentle, persistent coming back to what is real, before the story, before the panic, before the second arrow is knocked. It is the heart of the path through the wilderness. Would you like to explore how this mindful meeting begins to naturally transform the very nature of the journey itself? Let's explore the transformation. Settle in. Notice how your body feels after this journey so far. There's no goal here, just continued presence. When you begin to consistently meet your experience with mindful awareness, when you put down the oars, adopt the heron stance, study the failure shelf, a subtle alchemy begins. The discomfort doesn't necessarily vanish, but its relationship to you changes. It is no longer a monster in the dark that you are fleeing. It becomes a landscape you are exploring. This shift, from flight to exploration, changes everything. It is the difference between being lost in a frightening forest and being a naturalist in a fascinating, unknown ecosystem. Buddhism describes this as the development of prajna, wisdom or discernment. It's not intellectual knowledge. It's the intuitive, experiential understanding that arises from direct, clear seeing. As you observe your reactions without getting swept away by them, you start to see their patterns. You see that anxiety always presents itself as a tightness in the chest followed by catastrophic thoughts. You see that the feeling of being behind is always triggered by seeing someone else's milestone. This seeing is wisdom in action. You are mapping your own internal terrain. And when you have a map, even of difficult territory, you are no longer blindly lost. You are on a journey. The phase begins to feel less like a prison and more like a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage has difficult stretches, moments of doubt, fatigue. But it is undertaken with a purpose, to reach a sacred place, or more importantly, to be transformed by the journey itself. Your uncomfortable phase is your pilgrimage to your own depths. The sacred place is not a geographic location, but a state of being, authenticity, wholeness, inner freedom. And every moment of discomfort is a mile marker on that inner path. Think of a master jeweler examining a rough, uncut stone. To an untrained eye, it's a dirty, unremarkable rock. But the jeweler sees through the surface. They turn it in the light, observing the subtle hints of color, the potential cleavage points. They see not a rock, but a future gem in relationship to their skill. The stone's hardness isn't a problem. It's a property that will determine the cutting tools. Its inclusions aren't flaws to be cursed, but features that might create a unique star or cat's eye effect. Your difficult phase is that rough stone. Your mindful awareness is the eye of the jeweler. You are learning to see the potential wisdom, strength, and unique beauty encoded within the very hardship. The cutting is the process of mindful attention itself, which gradually reveals the gem of your true nature. I was once given a piece of drifty wood. Wood that had spent years tumbling in a river, sanded by the current, bleached by the sun. It was gnarled, full of holes, oddly shaped. It looked like debris. I almost threw it away. But a sculptor friend visited, picked it up, and her eyes lit up. "Look at this line," she said, tracing a smooth curve. "See how the water carved this hollow? This isn't broken. It's completed by the river." She placed it on a stand, turning it until it found its balance. In that moment, it transformed from flotsam into art. Its flaws became its essence. Your life, after being tumbled by this uncomfortable phase, may feel like that piece of driftwood, weathered, full of holes, not fitting any standard mold. Mindfulness is the act of the sculptor. It is looking at your experience with that creative, appreciative eye, turning it until you see the beauty in its weathering, the wisdom in its hollows, the unique shape that only this particular river of experience could have carved. This shift in perception naturally cultivates two essential qualities: patience and trust. Not the grim patience of waiting for a torture to end, but the organic patience of a gardener who has planted seeds and knows they must be left to the dark soil and the rain. And trust, not in a specific outcome, but in the reliability of the process of growth itself. You begin to trust that if you meet your experience with awareness, wisdom will emerge. You may not know the form it will take, but you trust the alchemy. A beautiful example of this is the formation of a pearl. An oyster, going about its life, gets an irritant, a grain of sand, inside its shell. This is the first arrow: pain, discomfort, and intrusion. The oyster doesn't have the option to flee or philosophize. Its response is biological, yet profound. It begins to secrete nacre, layer upon layer, around the irritant. It doesn't remove the sand. It relates to it. It incorporates it. Over time, through this patient, persistent response, the irritant is transformed into a pearl. The oyster's wisdom is in its response, not in avoiding the irritant. Your mindful awareness is your nacre. Your discomforts, your irritants of uncertainty and fear, are the grains of sand. You are being asked not to magically make them disappear, but to relate to them with the gentle, persistent layering of compassionate attention. What is being created, layer by daily layer, is the pearl of your awakened character. The phase isn't the problem, it's the necessary condition for the pearl. This process also rewrites your relationship with effort. We are taught that effort means striving, pushing, forcing. In this phase, that kind of effort leads to exhaustion and deeper stuckness. Buddhism introduces the concept of viriya, often translated as energy or persistence, but better understood as right effort. It is the effort of the heron, not the frantic rower. It is the effort to maintain mindful awareness, to gently return from distraction, to meet irritation with nacre instead of rage. It is an effort of attunement, not aggression. It feels subtler, quieter, but it is far more powerful and sustainable. I think of tuning a grand piano. The tuner doesn't bash the tuning pins with a hammer. He uses a gentle, precise tool. He strikes a key, listens intently to the vibration, senses the dissonance against the tuning fork. Then he makes a micro-adjustment. Strike, listen, adjust. It is a conversation of exquisite sensitivity. The goal is not to force the string to a note, but to bring it into harmonious relationship with the standard. Your right effort in this phase is like that. You strike the note of your present moment experience. You listen mindfully to the resonance. Is there harmony or dissonance with your deep values? Is there the vibration of peace or the clang of resistance? And then you make a micro-adjustment, a breath, a release of a thought, a gentle turn towards acceptance. It is not about forcing your life into a perfect chord immediately. It is about the patient, attentive, daily tuning of your own being towards the pitch of truth, of presence, of peace. As you practice this tuning, something else begins to happen: joy, mudita. Not the euphoria of a problem solved, but the quiet, steady joy of participation. The joy of the naturalist who finds a rare fern. The joy of the jeweler who sees the first glint of the cut gem. The joy of the pianist who hears a previously sour string finally ring true. This is a joy independent of circumstances. It is the joy of being fully, skillfully engaged in the art of living your own life. It can coexist with sadness, with uncertainty, with pain. It is the background warmth of your own conscious presence. So you see, the transformation is not from discomfort to comfort. It is from resistance to intimacy. From fear of the wilderness to a curious exploration of it. From seeing a rough rock to seeing a future gem. From being irritated by sand to layering it into a pearl. From frantic rowing to skillful tuning. The phase hasn't changed. You have changed. Your relationship to the phase has changed. And in that change, you find a freedom that no external circumstance can ever give or take away. This is the promise of the path. Not a life without waves, but the ability to sail. Not a life without irritants, but the capacity to make pearls. Not a life without rough stone, but the vision to see the gem within. We are nearing the end of our spoken journey together, but of course, your real journey is just deepening. Would you like to hear the final integration, how to carry this understanding forward from this quiet space into the living of your days? Let's come to a close, integration. There is no rush. Let the understandings we've woven together settle into the fabric of your being. We have traveled from the first whispers of discomfort to the deep practices of meeting and transformation. We have reframed the wilding garden, the olive wood, the cedar's slow wisdom, the heron's stance, the jeweler's eye, the pearl's patience. All of these are maps, metaphors to help you navigate the territory of your own soul's unfolding. Now, the most practical question remains. How do you walk out of this listening space and into your tomorrow? How do you live this? Buddhism always returns to the simplicity of the present moment. It doesn't give you a 5-year plan. It gives you the next breath. The ultimate teaching is that your life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. And you live it breath by breath, step by step, in full, awake relationship with what is. So, here is the integration, the carrying forward. First, establish a daily practice of coming home. Just for a few minutes each day, sit quietly. Don't try to empty your mind. Just be the sky for your cloud thoughts. Be the heron in the shallows of your breath. Be the luthier, listening to the grain of your own silence. This isn't about achieving a special state. It's about exercising the muscle of mindful awareness. It's your daily tuning. When the storms of the day come, this practice stability will be your anchor. Second, become a collector of small, mindful moments. You don't need an hour on a cushion. The entire path is here in the next action. When you wash a dish, feel the warmth of the water, the slip of the soap. When you walk, feel the contact of your foot with the earth. When a difficult feeling arises, pause for one breath before reacting. Meet it as a sensation, not a story. In these micro moments, you are building your house on the bedrock, brick by mindful brick. Third, reframe your benchmarks. Stop measuring yourself by external, comparative milestones. Start an invisible ledger. Note, today, I noticed anxiety and breathed with it instead of spiraling. That is a victory. Today, I felt envy and let it pass without feeding it. That is progress. Today, I endured uncertainty for an hour without filling it with noise. That is strength. These are the real milestones of the inner pilgrimage. Celebrate them. Fourth, practice gentle speech, starting with yourself. The voice in your head is the most powerful environment you live in. When you hear the old, critical stories, you're behind, you're failing, don't argue. Don't believe. Just notice, the behind story is here. Label it gently and return to your breath. Speak to yourself with the kindness you would offer a dear friend who is struggling. Fifth, embrace the cyclical nature of all things. This phase will pass. But so will the next comfortable one. And another challenging one will come. This is anicca, impermanence. Understanding this doesn't make you cynical, it makes you free. You stop clinging desperately to the good phases and fighting desperately against the hard ones. You learn to surf the waves of change, with your mindful awareness as your board. Finally, remember the community of all beings. You are not alone in this. The feeling of being in an uncomfortable, in-between space is a universal human experience. Everyone who has ever grown has passed through some version of this. When you feel isolated, remember the cedars and the firs, the herons and the jewelers, the oysters and the piano tuners. You are part of a vast, living process of transformation that is the very pulse of existence. Your particular struggle is your unique entry point into a universal wisdom. I will leave you with one last, original story. In a monastery garden, there was a flagstone path that was constantly being disturbed by the roots of a large, old maple tree. Every few years, the roots would lift the stones, creating a tripping hazard. The junior monks would grumble, see it as a problem to be solved. They'd propose cutting the roots, relaying the path. The old gardener would simply smile and say, "The tree is not wrong. The path is not wrong." He would then go out with a mallet and a few spare stones. He wouldn't fight the root. He would carefully lift the disturbed stones, then relay them around the root, following its new contour. The path would end up with a gentle, winding curve where it met the tree. Over decades, the path developed these beautiful, organic curves at the base of several trees. It became more interesting, more graceful, more alive than any straight path could ever be. The problems had become its most beautiful features. You are that path. Your uncomfortable phase is the tree root of growth, lifting the flagstones of your old plans and assumptions. You have a choice. You can exhaust yourself trying to cut the root, to force the path back to its old, straight line. Or, you can take up the mallet of mindful awareness and the stones of your daily experience, and gently, skillfully, relay your path around the root. To follow the contour of the new growth. To allow your life's journey to develop the beautiful, unique, graceful curves that only meeting reality can create. This is the art of living. Not avoiding the roots, but learning to lay your path in harmony with them. This is the wisdom of Monk's Temple. This is the gift of your discomfort. Your journey continues now, off the cushion, into the living of your life. Carry this gentle awareness with you. Be kind to the pathmaker within. And remember, you are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be, learning how to walk the most authentic path of all, your own. Thank you for walking this path with me. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.